One, two, three.
Hey guys, it's Caitlin. Welcome back to my channel, or I guess I should say welcome myself back. It's been a hot minute since I've uploaded on this channel, and I'm honestly in a much different place than I was the last time I uploaded. The last video on my channel is probably my what I got for Christmas video, and a lot has changed since then. So I figured I'd catch you guys up, let you know where I've been, what I've been going through, kind of a little story time, if you will, of everything that's happened. So I guess to just save time, we should go ahead and get started, because this is a journey. So obviously you guys know I had a boyfriend, and before I say anything else, all names in this video are false. I'm not going to say anyone's actual name, and just a little disclaimer, I don't hold anything against these people. If you know who I'm talking about in this video, please do not go send them hate. Please do not harass them, bully them, whatever. I don't hold any ill will toward anyone in this story. I don't feel angry about it anymore. I already had my time to kind of process it, move on, and keep it pushing. So, as I said, you guys obviously know that I used to have a boyfriend. If you saw my last video, we'll call him Jack. Why not? So, me and Jack had been living together for about a year and a half, been dating about a little less than 2 years. And that was my first time moving out of my mother's house. That was my first time living with a partner, and honestly I didn't really know what I expected, but it definitely wasn't this. So I guess we should just get into it. As I said, we lived together for about a year and a half. We got a beautiful dog. Barry, come here, Bubba. Come here, Bubba. Say hi. This beautiful buggy. Hey, Bubba. Why don't you love me? We got a dog together. Hi. And honestly, I thought that this relationship would last much longer than it did and would go much differently than it did. Hi, I promise. Give me like 20 minutes and then we'll go play. I promise. So, amongst all of this, the real reason I guess everything ended is we had this agreement that I was allowed to sleep around with other girls because he knew that I'd never really done anything with women before, and he knew that I would want to experiment. And we discussed this, and I even specifically said, like, yo, like, whatever, this is not necessary if you're not comfortable with it. And he was like, no, that's fine. Fast forward a few months, and we had this girl. We'll call her Jasmine. So I met Jasmine at work. She started her orientation the same day that I did, and from the get-go we kind of connected, and we were like, yo, like, you're really dope, like, we should hang out. We go over to Jasmine's house that day, and immediately upon walking in the door, she has jumped on me, like, for a hug, bitten me, and I could just tell, okay, this girl wants to fuck. So I slept with her. I won't lie, I won't say anything like I didn't. I slept with her like 2 or 3 times, and she was into polyamory. If you don't know what polyamory is, you can look it up. I'm gonna tell you right now. Basically, it's where you have a relationship with multiple people, where it's kind of like you're dating everybody. And she invited me and Jack into this. And me and Jack couldn't really come to a determination as to whether we wanted to or not. He was okay with me still sleeping with her. So, one night, in a night of drinking and smoking, we kind of determined, okay, let's have a threesome. They came to me, they're like, hey, do you want to have a threesome? I'm like, sure. Mind you, I was crossfaded as hell. So we do the threesome, and apparently they slept together 2 more times after I fell asleep. And that wouldn't have been an issue. We're gonna get into how it became an issue, I promise. I wake up the next morning, and they are really, like, close, touchy, kind of more into each other than into me. And I was like, okay, maybe this will change, like, this is new to everybody, whatever. So later that day, me and Jack and my current boyfriend, we go over to Jasmine's house. Jasmine lives in a different county, about 30 minutes away. So we were gonna go over there, smoke, chill, whatever. And pretty much from the get-go, it became a festival of grab ass and making out. And again, Jack and Jasmine just seemed to only really want to touch on each other. Jasmine would climb in Jack's lap and just start making out with him in front of us. He was, like, of course, grabby, touchy, basically fingering her in front of us. And that went on for a few hours. And then Jasmine decides, like, okay, let's go in the other room and do the dirty. And I could kind of tell, like, throughout the day how uncomfortable I was with all of this, and how I really just didn't feel like I was being included in all, and I kind of just felt like they wanted more to do with each other than really me. Kind of just felt like I was the driving force that got them together. So my best friend, after they go in the other room, I'm talking about my current boyfriend, we were best friends before anything, and after we broke up a few years ago, we were best friends. Sorry if that was a little unclear. So my best friend looks up at me after all this, and he's like, yo, are you good? And I just try to play it off, like, yeah, it's fine, like, I don't care. But it did really hurt, because that morning she had been calling us, like, boyfriend, girlfriend, all this, but she really only wanted anything to do with Jack. So I'm just pretending like I don't care, like it doesn't affect me the way it does. But my best friend knows me better than anyone else, and he can tell when I'm upset without even me saying anything or looking a certain kind of way. He just was like, look, I know you're not okay. And that led into a 3-ish hour conversation. It led into a long-ass conversation of us basically just admitting, like, we never lost feelings for each other after we broke up 3 years ago. And somewhere in that conversation, I determined that I wanted to go home. I did not want to be there anymore. I didn't feel comfortable being there anymore. So I went in the other room, and I told Jack, who was under Jasmine, I basically told him, I'm going home, I don't feel good, I am going home. And my boyfriend's gonna take me home. He wasn't my boyfriend at the time, but whatever. So he takes me home, and of course, having that conversation the way we did, some stuff went down. Definitely fucked that night. And the next day, we were all at our buddy boy's house, because we all had this, like, one mutual friend that, like, stayed in my town, and we were all over there. We were smoking, and of course, Jack and Jasmine are all over each other. She's all up in his lap. And the funniest part of us being over at old buddy boy's house, old buddy boy has a guardian. I love her to death. She is what I like to call my weed auntie. I love her so much. She's so sweet, and she could kind of tell that I was just really upset and that I was just, like, not doing well with all this. So she comes out on the porch, because that's where we were all sitting. She looks like her eyes go straight to Jack and Jasmine. She's like, oh, because she knew that me and Jack had been together. She's like, oh, who are are you? Like, talking to Jasmine. She's like, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm Jasmine. Like, what's up? And then she looks at Jack and looks back at her, and she's like, and whose lap are you in? And she looks over at me, and I'm just like... And I guess Jasmine didn't realize, like, how Donna was, like, thinking about this whole situation. Because she could tell that I was upset, and she just saw that. And she comes over to me, and she's like, if you ever need anything, like, you let me know. Like, I know this sucks. And I will admit, I snapped that night. Because they were continuing to kind of just say stuff, like, how we were all together and all this. And I basically looked at them like, look. Because they were on the opposite side of the porch from me. Like, say that it's, like, this big of a porch. They were over here in one chair, and I was over here on the hammock. I basically looked up and said, look, there's a reason y'all are in that chair and I'm over here. And, of course, there's this tension because nobody knows that me and my best friend had slept together. So, I just felt all this, like, weird tension. And, I basically broke up with him that night. At this point, me and my best friend are not together. And I was very upset, and Jack and Jasmine were supposed to be my ride home, because technically Jack was still living there at our place. They ditched me. They left without me. So I'm sitting at my friend's house, and Jack's best friend lived at this house as well. So Jack's best friend tells me I can come inside and I can sit down and chill and, like, get it out, because he could tell I was very upset. So I went in the room, I cried a little bit, you know, some shit went down, whatever. You know, we all do things whenever we're very upset, or we're just not wanting to face things. The reason all of that happened is that I really just didn't want to remember. I didn't want to remember what I'd seen, what I'd been through. I just wanted to forget everything. And my best friend, when he came back later, could just tell that something had happened. And he was very, like, the way he explained it to me was he was feeling jealousy where he shouldn't have, because I wasn't technically his girlfriend. And so we went out that night and drove around on the island, and then I went home. I get home, I think it was that night, we went over to his place and got in the pool and did some stuff, whatever, like, you know how it be, though. So I don't get home that day until 6:30 in the morning, and obviously getting home at 6:30 in the morning and living with roommates, I did not have my key, so I had to bang on the door and wake my roommate up. And so she opens the door, she's like, why the hell are you getting home at 6:30? Mind you, this was my 15-year-old roommate. And I told her, like, look, I will explain everything as soon as I wake up, because I was dog shit tired, and I did not want to talk about it while I was tired. So I went to bed, I slept for a little bit, I wake up the next day, or not the next day, I wake up a few hours later, and I go and I knock on her door, I'm like, okay, let's talk. So we go out to the kitchen table, and I sit her down, and I'm like, okay, look, I guess I can say my boyfriend's actual name, because she knows Anthony, she knows who he is, she knows the relationship that we had, she knew that we were best friends now, but she didn't know that we were doing anything. So I sit her down, I'm like, look, you know Anthony? And she's like, yeah, I love Anthony, like, he's dope. And basically from there, I explained to her the breakup. She already knew most about the breakup. And I explained to her, look, you might want to sit down. She's like, why? And I was like, me and Anthony slept together. And she was like, what? Are y'all getting back together? And I explained to her, I had Anthony come over, and we basically sat her down and said, look, we basically determined that we still love each other. So we are Like, not together, but not together. It was kind of like a friends with benefits, but we knew there were strings attached. And she was ecstatic. She was like, oh my god, like, I knew y'all still had feelings for each other. I was like, what? And apparently she said she could tell from the way me and him acted around each other and the way me and him would interact. And apparently, like, the way I looked at him, that we still had feelings for each other. And so she's so happy. She's like, oh my god. And from then on, me and Anthony continued to sneak around. And I'm going to put this right front and forward and just say it because everyone already knows it. I'm going to change this name too. Anthony had a girlfriend at the time. We'll call her Maria. So Maria was my best friend, and I admit I'm very wrong for all of this. I'm not going to say I'm not. I've already admitted every bit of fault that I could. And yes, we were going behind her back. And I'm the one who shoved Anthony at Maria because I was repressing all these feelings that I was having about Anthony, and I didn't want to admit them or anything like that because I didn't think he would ever take me back or get with me or anything. So I had been repressing all this shit for so long. I was like, here, you should date him. And yeah, that was a horrible thing to do. And now me and Anthony are together, living together. We have an apartment with 2 roommates. And I don't mean to sort of gloss over the details. There really just isn't much detail to give. And basically how we ended up, like, determining... Oh my god, ow. My back hurts. Basically how we ended up determining that we were going to be together is she found out eventually from a friend of ours that we had been going behind her back, and of course she had a right to know, she had a right to be upset. She took him back afterward, and of course we were still sneaking around. And basically, one night, I wanted him to come over because I had a friend over that I didn't necessarily feel comfortable being alone with. Not for any, like, bad reasons. I've never really hung out with him by ourselves. So I had Anthony come over, and basically, Maria gave him an ultimatum. Look, you're either going to have to pick her or me. And that was apparently all he needed to hear. Because he had already made his determination that he was going to be with me. And he took the opportunity, he ran. I get a text from him, he's like, I'm coming over, don't do anything, like, I'm on my way, I want you, I know I want you. It was like a Hallmark movie. Like, I swear to God, it was like a Hallmark movie. So he gets to my house, I get, like, the fattest hug, and of course our friend is like, yo, what the fuck, like, what's going on? And so, from that point, me and Anthony have been together, and, yeah. That's kind of the entire story, really, of where I've been and what's been going on. You can take it, you can leave it. You can think whatever you want to about me or anyone else in the story, but like I said in the beginning, I don't want any hate sent toward these people. I don't want anyone to be harassed. Just leave these people alone. They're minding their own business, and that's what I'm doing. Oh, I forgot one part. I found out, actually, a few nights ago. This isn't, like, new information, so that's kind of why I forgot to mention it. I found out Jack had been cheating on me throughout most of the relationship with, like, different people. And hearing that come out of Jack's best friend's mouth just really kind of... like, it pissed me off for sure. And I've said this to a few people, like, there are many opportunities that I could have cheated on Jack, or fucked somebody better, or anything like that, and I just didn't. I never strayed from him. So hearing all that information really just felt kind of like a punch in the face. But as I said, I don't want any hate sent toward these people. I don't want anyone to be harassed because of this or anything like that. If you've been through a similar situation, I just want you to know that it does get better with time and effort, really. I'm not hurt by this. I will also just say I lost feelings for Jack back in December of 2020. And I really, like, this is gonna sound really shitty of me to say. I really only kept him around as a ride to and from work. I didn't really hold any love in my heart for him anymore. And I didn't really feel like he was the one for me anymore. And yeah, that's it. I guess give this video a thumbs up if you've ever been in a similar situation, or if you want more content revolving around anything, really. Leave a comment down below, and please subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want more videos from me. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Come on, bud. Come on, over. Got it. You got it.
Neither one of you have given me enough weed.
Anthony, your thoughts?
None.
Hi, bud.
Here comes Josh texting me. What are you doing?
I bet.
Work.